IT. On the other side, you've got the revenue generation people, sales, marketing, revenue managers. So if you have an inkling you want to go in that direction, start early, join HSMAI, spend 35 bucks, get a free dinner, it almost pays for itself, and it shows on your resume. It'll look good. Another argument. Cool?
What are you on, commission?
I now am. I should be.
Thanks, Whitney, thank you.
Do you want to do anything before? Or?
No,
Okay.
let me introduce John Farrell, he'll take it away. My
Like
good
that.
friend and colleague.
Thank you. Can we turn that off?
Okay.
No, the projector, sorry.
Projector? Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Wait,
There we go.
you got it, Asher?
Oh, I can easily handle
Because
it.
I'll get a suntan if I stand. All right. Don Farrell, that's me. Just yell Don. This, we go to a 5:25, is that right?
5:15.
5:15. So we have almost 45 minutes to be able to hang out together. And 40 of the 45 minutes are all about you. I come with no prearranged agenda. And I've got some general questions to ask, and let's see how you fit into the silos that I'm going to be discussing, and answer any kind of questions or concerns you might have. Cool? That's my agenda. So let's start off with a frame of reference. So whoever stands up here talking to you, that's supposed to be professional and knowledgeable and an expert, it's up to you to decide. And I'll give you my background, you can decide for yourself. So I started at age 15 as a pot scrubber for Marriott in Milwaukee and worked my way up through the ranks of the operations side. Prep cook, salad bar guy, wine steward, busboy, dishwasher, all that stuff. Am I an expert at that stuff? No, but I have a ton of empathy for it, and I can speak the language, and I've had enough where I paid my dues, where later on down the road when I was a director of sales, and you're sitting in front of a food and beverage director, and you're trying to negotiate with your own food and beverage director to get a group in the hotel, and he's hung up on the price of prime rib, which we now have $150,000 at risk because the client doesn't want to spend $11.99 for prime rib, they want to spend $10.99. Food and beverage director won't let you. You got to be able to speak their language to get what you want. So all that working on site really helped me do that. Cool so far? All right. I'm a bellman at the time, and I physically wanted to get closer to the sales office because that's where I wanted to be. And I thought my chance of getting into sales, because I was physically closer, made sense. I wasn't that bright. But it worked out because I went from bellman to front desk agent. They called them clerks. I hate that word. Front desk agent, front desk supervisor, front desk manager, then sales manager, all at the same Marriott in the course of about 4.5, 5 years. Okay? Spent the next 12, 13 years in the sales and marketing arena. Pre-opening director of sales, director of sales, city sales director where you're in downtown Chicago and you've got 4 Holiday Inns, 2 of the best in the world at the time, still are pretty darn good, and you sold those hotels. I was inbound and outbound selling in Minneapolis. So I had 10 hotels, Wisconsin and Minnesota, where I'm selling out of Minneapolis into those 10 hotels. So all kinds of different sales positions in the hotel level. Then I went to corporate. Now I'm regional sales director for Holiday Inns, and I've got 30 hotels I'm responsible for. And then we grew to 50 because we joined regions. And then I left that job to go with an entrepreneur for the first time in my life. I'd always worked under a corporate umbrella, corporate arena. And now I'm working for an entrepreneur for the first time, and that was quite an education, good and bad, a lot of bad. And I was the VP of marketing for 6 Sheraton resorts and convention centers based out of Boston. And in 1986, I started a consulting practice. I was tired of making mistakes for others. They want me to do this, I think it's a mistake, they don't believe me, I'm gonna go do it, oh look, it was a mistake. I was tired of doing that. I wanted to make mistakes for me. And have any of you ever thought that you wanted to be your own boss? Raise your hand. Who wants to be their own boss? So did I. But let me tell you what happened for me anyway. This is one person's opinion. For me, I went out and found, it took a while, 10 clients. And if you've got 10 clients, how many bosses do you have? 10 bosses. So that part of the equation didn't work out for me. But what did work out was, and I'd be lying to you if I said it happened in the first year or even the second year, but by year 3, I was able to fire my clients, Chris, if I didn't think they were following through, if they weren't doing what I recommended. I'd call them up and say, hey, look, Charlie, hey, Don, how's it going, man? Good. You're fired, man. What? I don't want your money. You're not doing what I suggest. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. No, please, give me another chance. And we'd wind up firing clients because I didn't want to do stuff that didn't make any impact. I didn't want to make money and do nothing for it. So we were able to get to that point. And that is a beautiful feeling when you have your own business, where you're able to be that honest with the people you work with. How cool is that? Not all of us had that opportunity. So that made it all worthwhile. Started in the spare bedroom of the house. My wife, divorced now, but my wife then was pregnant with our first child, and here I'm starting a new company. A bright person wouldn't have done that. But I had a lot of confidence, and I knew I wanted to make this thing work, and it was a struggle for the first year like you wouldn't believe. And as soon as I got it built up, Chris, and we're going to do great, I did work with a client up in Michigan, Ann Arbor, and he was on the line. He owed me a bunch of money, and I had expenses involved. He went bankrupt, almost bankrupted me. One client almost took me under. It was really close. But you crawl out of that, you start walking, you start running, and that consulting practice, which really started off as me going into hotels and not telling owners and operators how to make more money, but I would show them. I would call on clients in the area that were staying at the Marriott, and I would steal them and bring them over to my client's hotel. And better yet, I would take their salespeople out on sales calls with me so they could learn how to do it. Theoretically, you wouldn't need to pay me forever. Just pay me for a year. Your people are now trained on how to do this. You don't need me anymore. Okay? I was good with that. And if you think about it, consulting, if you do a great job, you get fired. If you do a bad job, you get fired. So you're going to eventually get fired as a consultant. I'm as busy as I could possibly be, Chris. In fact, I was so busy that I got a call from, I'll never forget this, a client like in October, guy in Asheville. He says, Don, you got to get to Asheville. I've got 4 hotels. I'm dying over here, man. And we're getting our brains beat in by the competition. How soon can you get here? And I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, dude, I can't get there till like March. He said, I can't wait that long. I said, I know what to tell you. I'm booked. And he literally said, what about Christmas week? I said, what? He said, Christmas is on a Thursday. What if you come in Monday, Tuesday, and work with us? And I don't know why I came up with this cockamamie idea, but my daughter was like 3 at the time. And I said, I'll make you a deal. If you fly both of us in, and you treat her like a queen, I'll do it. And he said, deal. And they did. And to this day, she never forgets that trip. Every book report was all about that trip. So it was kind of cool. That's how busy I was every single week. But I got to the point where if I was still doing that today, I'd be a dead person, because that's hard work. You're leaving your house on a Sunday night, you're back home Friday late, and you are exhausted. Because every second of every day, your client is trying to get bone marrow out of you because they're spending good money, and they want to get as much return on investment as they can. So you not only have breakfast with them, and you're working all day long with their people, now they want to have cocktails and dinner with you. So the morning starts at 6 a.m. easy, and it doesn't end until 10 o'clock at night, and you're doing it day after day after day after day. And if you think flying around on an airplane is a lot of fun, do it for a while. Beats you up. Rental cars, cabs, all that nonsense. So I'm saying to myself, all right, I've taken this company as far as I can for one person. What can I turn this company into? And long story short, I know this is too long already, I accidentally overheard a reservations agent at a hotel losing $1 million a year. An independent hotel, they couldn't get a flag, they couldn't get a franchise. Why? Because all the flags were taken. So they were independent. They were a half a mile from the beach. When the phone rang in reservations, what did the consumer want to know? What would the consumer want to know? How close are you to the beach? And her answer was, half a mile! Almost literally like that. She was rude, she was nasty, and of course, they would hang up, hang up, hang up. And I accidentally overheard that and found out that there's about $800,000 that office could generate if we just did a better job. That was the day, by accident, a training company was born. Because we invented the way to do that. And conversions, meaning for every 10 opportunities you had to make a reservation for someone, the industry is converting 30 and 40%. And the industry today doesn't even know it. They're converting 30 and 40%. Why? because they're not using the right skills or enough skills or creating the right value proposition. They don't know what to say if the client says, hey, sounds great, I'll call you back. All that stuff. We figured it out. Now we're converting 80%, 8 out of 10. Nobody was doing that. And I said, boy, this is going to have a shelf life of 2 years, Chris, before the whole world's doing it, and we got to find something else. But for 2 years, I see this being a really cool thing. That was 1986. That was 1989. That's about the time that happened. Till this day, that's still a hot seller because hotels need that stuff. Okay. I sold that big company in 2007 to start Fresh Revenues. Fresh Revenues were 33 people. We run all over the world doing 4 things. We train sales, we train culture, we train leadership, and we train service. And our stuff is very, very tactical. What does that mean? The strategy is typically, hey, we want to make more money. Hey, we want to have less turnover in our staff. Hey, strategy, big picture. Well, we're the people that come in and say, here's how you get that done. And we coach them, we reinforce it, we mystery shop them. Who was in the last class talking about mystery shoppers? In fact, I think you spoke, right? We are a shopping company as well. And if you really are good at what you do, you want to be shopped because the bosses are going to hear you. There's the other way of looking at it, okay? So we do all those kinds of things to make training work. Our largest client is the U.S. Navy. Navy has 86 hotels all over the world. We train their hotels, okay? Any questions? It's kind of my frame of reference. So if you look at my life, I did this with a class, the same class, not long ago. If you look at my life, this is my life, this is Fresh Revenues. This is the company that I'm running right now, okay? Then I've got part-time in my mind, and I'm developing strategic, tactical stuff to start a new company called Farever. Last name's Farrell, so the Far works. Plus I got license plates with them, so it works. Where I want my kids to join me. My son is an entrepreneur. They just won today. They found out the best bridal shop in Memphis. It's in Cairo. It's called Maggie Louise. So I want my son, because he's got great business acumen. My daughter's an attorney. She's sharp. I want them and I to start a company called Farever. They vaguely know what I'm talking about. They don't even know it yet, but this is what I'm working on, okay? So I hope that happens. NM stands for Neat Meat. So for 7 years, I've been working with 2 others, one in Cincinnati, one in Columbus, Ohio. The guy in Columbus, Ananda Jami, is obviously Indian and very hard to understand. But he's our IT guy. He is one of 12 people in the United States that is a certified master architect of computer design. He's that sharp. So he's a partner. George, who used to be a trainer for me, is the other partner. He generated this idea, and then there's me. So the 3 of us for 7 years have been working at developing a travel product where you go in and you say, all right, I got to go travel to Indianapolis on business. Indianapolis, Neat Meat site. Give me the options in Indianapolis. You got 7 hotels in the downtown area. And your passion is, what's your hobby? Do you have a hobby? Do you have a passion? Collect things? Anything like that?
Me?
Anybody?
Cooking.
Cooking. You can find out how many other people who are into cooking are staying at each hotel. So if there's 30 staying at the Hilton and there's only 12 staying at the Holiday Inn, your chance of meeting up with those people are greater at the Hilton. You can elect to do that. Now you have an opportunity to connect with those people. If they don't want to be connected with, they can block it. But here's a way for people who have passions. And most people do. They have a hobby, they collect stuff, they're into golf, they're into tennis, whatever it is, they're passionate about it. They're more passionate about that, Chris, than their jobs, right? So here's an opportunity for people who are passionate about what you're passionate about to connect on airplanes, in restaurants, in hotels. So we've been working on it, and recently we just picked up a funding source that's going to fund the entire development of the project. So that's been taking 7 years because we've been meeting on the phone every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. That's what you got to do if you want to make things work. You got to work, if you're an entrepreneur anyway, you got to work 24/7 if that's what it takes, okay? So the part of my life is doing Neat Meat. This new one, which is kind of new, is St. Patrick's Church. Anyone ever hear of St. Patrick's Church downtown Memphis? It's in the poorest zip code in the entire city of Memphis, 38126, the poorest neighborhood bar none. We have 30 homeless people at our 8:30 service. We probably have 15 or 20 at the 11 o'clock. So it's the community that we're trying to reach out to help these guys out, okay? So I'm kind of in the last year, been picked on to do a lot of stuff, fundraising and putting the finance program together and all kinds of stuff at the church. So there's my life. And if you're ADD like I am, you love that kind of life. Because no 20 minutes in a row are alike. You're doing something different here, you're doing something different tomorrow, you're doing something different this afternoon. So I love that life. Cool? All right, now it's your turn. I've talked long enough. Yes, I have. You guys, how many of you, and if you don't, that's okay. How many of you have figured out, I really want to get into the so-and-so field in the hospitality world? How many have it figured out? Raise your hand. Okay, the rest of us are still like, hey, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'll figure it out as I get there, right? Which is fine. So those of you that raised your hand, give me an idea. What is it you'd like to be?
Bar consultant.
A
Bar consultant.
A bar consultant. Excellent. Okay. You raised your hand, right? What's your idea? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Management.
Management.
I want to run the company.
You want to run the company. Let's talk about you for a second. Why do you want to run the company?
Because
Because I'm an egomaniac.
no,
What else?
I've been in hospitality since my mom passed in 2011. I started working in 2013, and I pretty much, that's all I have been in hospitality, around
Right.
food and working with customers. So I really like doing it because I'm a people person, and I got that part from my mother, and she was giving. So if I'm able to help someone, help their family, or you know what I'm saying, to build their self, I'll do it.
Excellent. Write this down. Ready? Write the word hospitality down. I saw this maybe 6 or 8 months ago, Chris. You never stop learning, do you, brother?
Never.
So 6, 8 months ago, I read this. This guy defined hospitality as follows. Ready? It is the want or desire to serve. If you like serving, if you like giving, if you like giving back, if you like making a difference, that's hospitality. Cool? Service in America, people. Is it getting better or worse in your opinion? I don't care what industry, McDonald's, the shoe shop, the beauty bar, whatever it is. How many think service in America is getting better? Raise your hand. How many think it's getting worse? Raise your hand. The worse outnumbered you. But at least we have some hope over here. Why is it getting worse in your opinion? Go.
Well, I have a passion for serving, and when I go to different restaurants, I can tell based off the server's emotions how they're feeling at the time. And as a server, I like to tell how my guest is feeling, and if they're not feeling in such a good mood, even though their mood may rub me the wrong way, I still try to adjust and make their day better. But nowadays, service, a lot of things that I want and think that should be done is not being done. Like napkins, I have to ask for napkins. I have to ask for refills. They don't really pay attention to
Right.
it. And most of the time when I go to restaurants, I can tell that who's ever serving is not genuine. So when I do find a genuine server and somebody that really enjoys their job, then they get.
So what do you think is driving that bad service?
You have to hire too many people.
Sorry?
You have to hire too many people at once and they don't get trained well.
Okay. Turnover's so high, they gotta hire a bunch of new people and they fall out. We get more new people and it's one of those kind of deals. Good answer. Did you have an answer?
Oh, no.
Why is service not as good as you want it to be?
I think service starts at home as well, because some people, I tell my children all the time, they'll tell their sister move or get out the way. Service starts there, but
Yeah.
you'll go out from home and you'll say, yes ma'am, no ma'am, or.
That's
"Excuse
cultural.
me."
You have a cultural understanding of what
they learn.
service and hospitality is about.
It's what we
That's
watch
key.
on TV. You
Yeah.
know, it's what we listen to.
Yeah, it's what you feel. The biggest mistake trainers like myself can make is if we try to just appeal to your brain. If you do this, you'll be more successful. If you do that, you'll be more successful. Where we have to start is here. We have to get your buy-in. You have to see that it's going to make an impact in your life. And if you do, now we go for this, and then the right stuff comes out. You're building a cultural understanding of what hospitality is all about and how to serve. That's a beautiful thing. because a lot of people don't have that. And that's one of the reasons why service in America isn't as good as it should be, okay? For whatever it's worth, I get to speak at a lot of different conferences. And some have 10,000, some have 3,000, some have 100. And I've probably done 1,600 of those in the last 15 years or so. And I've asked almost every group, is service in America getting better or worse? And the vast majority say, and I ask them why. And these are people who are 35, 40, 50 years old. Because today's person, you guys, are social media savvy, but you don't know how to communicate with the people. You don't know how to talk to people. You don't know how to write. You don't know how to do stuff. They're lazy. There's all this perception of you guys, and a lot of it ain't pretty. It's also unfair. And I tell these guys, look, stop whining, man. You're gonna beat someone up into doing this kind of stuff? You've got to communicate in their language. But be ready for that, people, because the world is kind of looking at you like you don't have social skills. You know how to get and type on your phone or your laptop or something, but you don't know how to converse with a person. And if you are someone that needs help in that area, work on it, man. Work at a front desk of a hotel. I was pretty shy until I got to the front desk of a hotel. After that, it was like, you can't be shy. You got to open up. So that was a great job for me. All right, let's go back to you again. So let's talk about some more. Who else knows what they want to be when they grow up? Raise your hand, please.
Well, we're gonna open a conference center.
Excellent. And it's a we, meaning who?
Madison.
Okay, excellent. Conference center. Anywhere in the United States, or you've got a particular area in mind?
Particularly DeSoto County.
Okay, DeSoto County. Excellent. What turns you on about that?
In our church, we've had quite a few failed marriages and children with behavioral issues. So opening a Christian facility where workshops and things of that sort can be hosted.
Very cool.
Retreats, things of that sort.
Very cool. All right, for the rest of us that are still trying to figure it out, that's fine. We're not here to figure out your life today. But let me try to give you some tips. Ready? Go back to what I started with earlier. If you look at it from 30,000 feet, just looking at a hotel, there's an opportunity to get on the revenue generation side or the operations side. And the beautiful thing about hotels, the best thing in my opinion is this. You could think, you know what, I love the food and beverage side. I might want to own a restaurant someday, but I could see myself being a food and beverage director. The beautiful thing is you start as a pot scrubber, dishwasher, busboy, prep cook, food expediter, on and on, and you get to be that person you thought you wanted to be, and you're like, this isn't what I thought it was. You get to move over to a different part of the hotel, if you're good. If you work hard and you work honest. Our industry is like every other industry. We are starving, absolutely starving, for people who are honest, care, motivated. You guys, we're looking for you. We're starving for you, okay? So take advantage of that opportunity. Where it gets challenging for the hotel people is when you wind up in housekeeping. You're so kind of removed over here that if you said, hey, I want to get in food and beverage, they're like, stay over there. You know, you're housekeeping. So they have a challenge moving on over to the other side, quote unquote. But every other department, I think you can move around laterally or move up if you want to. And after a while, you start to understand the entire hotel business, and now you find out where your true passion is. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. How many entrepreneurs do I have? Raise your hand. Okay. What do you want to be?
I want to own my own restaurant.
Okay. Why?
Well, I read about a few different restaurants that are more up north. There aren't any really in Memphis that say they charge a slice of pizza for $5, then they donate a certain amount to some type of charity. So
Okay.
I'd like to own my own fine dining restaurant that does something like that.
Excellent. Who was in the last class downstairs? Okay. So there was a slide that said, almost always, the room side of the hotel makes more money than food and beverage. Do you remember that slide? I've never seen a situation where it's never been that. That slide should probably read, rooms always makes more money than food. You just have to be careful. So when I'm a food and beverage director, I'm making, my food cost is 33 cents per dollar, 33%. My labor was like 58%. Before you knew it, we were netting 10%. It wasn't fine dining. We weren't getting primo prices like you're looking for, but you got to start off somewhere. And maybe you don't start off primo, you got to work your way up, right? So it's incredibly challenging to make net. Just keep that in mind. It's great that you want to give back, but you gotta build your fort first and then do that. Cool? All right. Let's talk about something else for a second. You guys are going to be standing in a long line someday saying, I want that job. And guess how many other people are in that same line? Tons. And do they have more experience than you in this area, in that area, in this one? Maybe. Are they better at this and that and the other thing? Maybe. And you're staying in this long line of people that they're wanting to consider. So you got to ask yourself, why would anybody hire you? Anyone have an answer? Why would anyone want to hire you?
Yeah, it's your appearance, your personality.
Your appearance, your personality, keep going.
Your perspective of things.
Perspective of things.
Competence.
Competence.
Ambition. Confidence.
Confidence.
Ambition, yeah.
Ambition.
I was gonna say how hard you work, like, how
Okay.
dedicated you are.
These are great words. They're the same words that everyone else in line is using.
And it's also about who you know too.
Does help to know somebody.
Critical thinker.
Critical thinker. Good stuff. All right, so let's stay at 30,000 feet for one more time. Write this down. Chris, you've seen this before. It never gets old for me. V equals D over E. I'll tell you what V and D and E are in just a second. V equals D over E. Before I ever stopped into that restaurant that I've never stayed at before, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the best it could possibly be, what am I expecting? Expectation. What am I expecting that business to deliver? 10 is as good as it gets. What am I expecting? Give me a number. 7. Why did he say 10? Why did he say 7?
I don't know, in between.
In between? Why are you in between?
Nobody ever reaches 10.
Nobody ever reaches a 10. We don't get 10 a lot, right? When's the last time you got a 10 on something? Anybody? Give me, go. What happened?
It was basically just the atmosphere, the service, and it was more than one person. It was like a teamwork thing, and as a customer, I seen it. So I just really, every time I go there, I enjoy myself.
Where is this place? I gotta go.
It's on 5,000 popular. So
And what is it?
Literally,
He's fine dining.
Oh,
Houston State.
okay.
yeah, if you go get there like filet or Hawaiian, those are.
I bet. It's a good place. Yep. All right. Expectation. I like your answer. On a scale of 0 to 10, I heard some good things about this place, which is why I'm going there. I'm expecting a 7. What is D? Delivery. Delivery. Oftentimes, if I had more time, I don't have enough time here, but if I had more time, I'd bring one of you up and I'd say, okay, tell us specifically what made that experience at your favorite restaurant work. Oh, Don, gotta tell you, I love these guys. Okay, what did you love about them? Well, when we walked in, they greeted us right away. Okay, good, good, good. They sat us right away. They brought ice water. You're kidding. No, they did. And then the waiter was friendly. You serious? They were friendly? Yeah, they were friendly. And our food came out. It was tasty. It was delicious. The check came on time. It was a 10. What did that person just describe? What they should be getting anyway. But yet they were blown away because they were nice to me. Wow. That's how desperate we are for good service. So, let's pretend we go to that restaurant, and they do. They tune you in, they turn you on. You love these guys. I'm with you. We're never a 10, ever. The best we're ever going to get is to be a 9. Why? Because we can always, always, always do something better. My delivery today, your presentation, wherever you, everything can be improved. Everything. Okay? So 7 goes into 9 how many times? 1 time with how many 7s left over? 1 and 2 7s. V stands for value. Value. So the value proposition that was delivered was a 1 and 2 7s. I expected a 7. I got a 9. I'm delighted. I now am, write this word down, loyal to that business. I'll start off these presentations I told you I make, these speeches I make. I'll start off, and these are multimillionaires, these are line staff, and everybody in between. I'll ask this question. So at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, end of the year, what you and I get paid to do is to satisfy our guests, satisfy our clients. True or false?
True. Make us happy.
False. Satisfying people is giving them what they expect. What do you want to deliver?
Excellence.
Above and beyond what they expect. You want to give them good surprises. And when that happens, you've developed loyalty. 3 things happen when your consumer's loyal. Write this down. Number 1, they will only buy from you. In that neighborhood, they're only going to your restaurant. In that part of town, they're only staying at your hotel, even though there's newer ones, cheaper ones. Number 2, they're going to tell family. Remember the Sprint commercial, Friends and Family? Family. They're going to tell family. None of us in any business has enough money in advertising, marketing, all that good stuff. This third-party recommendations by people, the word of mouth, is the best form of advertisement, bar none. You've heard that before, it's true. And number 3, when your consumer is loyal to you, they're much more forgiving. If you think about all the opportunities you can have to mess up a food and beverage presentation, there's a lot of ways this could go wrong. They wanted shrimp cocktails. We went to the refrigerator to get them. The shrimp are bad. We have no shrimp. There's so many ways the service can go south, right? So that being the case, we've got to be ready to up this game. Ready? First time I ever came to this restaurant, 1 and 2 7s. I'm going back because I'm what? What's the L word? I'm loyal to this business, and I go back. And I take a date with me, and I'm telling her how great this place is. What am I expecting on that second visit? A 9 because I got a 9 before. This group is smarter than most because I'll get 7? No. 9 because you got a 9 last time. And we already said you can't get a 10. You tune me and turn me on, you're awesome. The best you're going to do is a 9. What's 9 9s? 1. Somebody tell me what just happened. First time, second time, what happened?
Your experience was less than the first.
My experience on the second visit was less than the first. Why?
Because your expectations.
My expectation went up. So the moral of this story is this, and it gets back to you on the interview. Remember that long line of people we're standing in? It starts now. V equals D over E. You're trying to build loyalty between you and your employer. That's hard to get. It's hard to get loyalty. They have to earn it, and you have to earn it. Okay? You got to prove that you're someone worth investing in. They've got to prove that you ought to be working there long term. So it's a nice marriage, right? So, because the expectation went up, the delivery was the same, the value proposition wasn't as good. Think about the number of times you went somewhere, anywhere, and you said, wow, that was great, I'm going back. And you went back the second time, and you're like, yeah, that wasn't that great. How many times does that happen? That's why. So when you're standing in line with all these other people to be interviewed, your value proposition has to be better than anyone else's. You've got to think and act tactically. You're looking for a front desk manager. I want to be your front desk manager. And here's why I would love to be your front desk manager. Here's what I think distances me from people that I know that do this for a living. You've got to create that, wow, she delivered at a higher level than I expected. She used different adjectives than the other people did, kind of stuff. You've got to be able to pull that off. Chris, I was at it might have been here a few years back when who was in charge of the hospitality program? Halloran?
Terry Umbright or Al Halloran?
Oh, Halloran was here, and we had a big audience, and we had like a panel of people. The Marriott, which is now the Sheraton, was there. We had a guy from Equity Hotels that has like 180 hotels. You had me and you had someone else. And we were there to try to help you guys. You were seniors. We were there to try to help you guys land your next job, the job you really wanted. And people came dressed in Led Zeppelin t-shirts. Don't do that, I mean, you have an opportunity to get hired by one of these people. And they didn't have a clue, Chris, that that was the case. So I went up there and I said, Halloran, I'm sorry, can I do this? No, let it fly. Dudes, look at you. Who's gonna hire you, man? And it ain't fair, but we do it. They don't look the part, they don't look professional. This is gonna be the performance I get. I mean, is it fair? Probably not. But do we do it as human beings? We do it all the time. So, you gotta look it, you gotta feel it, you gotta smell it, you gotta taste it, you gotta practice it. You have to be willing to work harder and smarter than anybody else, and you've got to be able to convey that. Something I would do with clients often would be to say, all right, so define a home run for me. What happens if we hit a home run? Well, good question. Let me think. Okay, I got an answer. If so-and-so and so-and-so happens as a result of your training. Okay, good. So there's the target. Is that the target? No, I have to exceed that. Whatever their expectation is, I have to exceed it. They don't know it yet, okay? But that, in my mind, I've got to be better than what they just said they needed. So that becomes the metric that you're shooting for, right? So, you're in that line. You've got to be able to convey. You've got to be able to say things like we would say in our sales calls. I'll tell you what, if we don't deliver what you expect and then some, then don't pay us a single dime. Whoa, wait a minute. I don't have to pay you anything? Nothing. It's subjective, right? Yeah, it's your opinion. Did we or did we not accomplish the goal? And if you say no, I'm going to ask you what did we do wrong, and I'm going to walk away with an education. But be that brave. I mean, it's illegal, but if you were to say to that person, look, I wish I could work for you for 2 weeks for free, because I would, to prove to you that I'm worth investing in. This is my job, this is my dream, this is my passion. And I wish I could work for free so you can kick my tires and know that I'm for real. Okay? Is there anything short of that that I can do to prove to you? Are people standing in line offering that kind of proposition? I don't think so. You have to be unique. And even then, you may not get the job. It's between two of you, and this one has more experience than you. Okay? But you keep fighting, and you keep scratching and crawling and get that job. All right? And I hope it's not a job you're looking for. I said job, but I shouldn't have. There are people that are going for jobs because they want to pay bills. And then there's people going for a career. Make career decisions. Personally, and a lot of people don't agree with this, so take this with a grain of salt. My philosophy in working for someone was always this. I would almost literally stand in front of the mirror at the end of the month and I'd say, Farrell, did you or did you not do anything or learn anything new? Can't think of anything. Okay, whose fault is that? My fault. So I'm going to work harder at learning something next month. And if I did, and I stood in front of that mirror again and said, hey man, this is 2 months in a row, you didn't learn anything. Guess what time it is? Time to find a different position. And that was my strategy, philosophy. I was single, I didn't have kids, I didn't have a wife, so I could do that. But learning creates that, not a job, but a career. Okay? So always take the next job. And you're never, if you need to be here, but you're here, you're never going to be there for that new job. And you shouldn't be. You should be here, and you work harder, smarter, and in due time, you reach the level you should be at. And then you go for the next job, and again, you don't have quite enough skills to be able to do the job 100%, but you'll learn as you go. Your drive and your desire and your commitment have to come out loud and clear. I'm willing to work harder and smarter than anybody. Am I the smartest person you ever met? No. But nobody's going to outwork me. I'll work hard, and I want to learn. Teach me. People that you will be working for someday would love to hear those words. And better than hearing them, they love to see it. You believe me? All right, who's got questions? You said you had questions. Go.
Do you have a degree?
I have a degree. You ready for this? I went to a 2-year junior college for real estate. Why? I'm in Brooklyn, New York, where I grew up. My father, who talked like this here, woke me up on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. He said, Donald, get up. What's happening, Pop? Get up. I said, Dad, it's Saturday. There's no school. I know. I said, oh, cartoons. I'm going to watch my cartoons. He's like, no, sit down here at the end of the bed. So we're at my bed. He's sitting here. I'm sitting here. What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know, Pop. All I know is I don't want to work behind a desk. So I was thinking I want to be a forest ranger, I swear, Brooklyn, New York. I want to be a forest ranger. My father goes, a forest ranger? What are you, stupid? And he goes on and on and on. Give me a different job. Well, I like architecture. I'd like to be an architect. Are you as good as Frank Lloyd Wright? No. Well, then don't do that job because you're going to be a draftsman and they don't make a lot of money. That job's out. What he was doing was he was whittling it down so that I would do what he suggested. And he had a philosophy. He had an idea that when you buy and invest in real estate, eventually you're going to make money. So real estate is a good thing to invest in, and precious metals, which is what he was in, and diamonds. So if you get in any of those industries, Donald, you'll be very successful. All right. Okay. Let's go back to the first one you mentioned, real estate. There's some desk stuff, but you're out there in the field. You're an appraiser. You're a realtor. Yeah, I could do that job. That's how I got to that school. And a year and a half into it, I said, this is disgusting. I don't want to be in real estate. I'm working at the Marriott, working my way up through positions. The day I graduated, I had in my mind, I was going to interview with American Appraisal down on Michigan Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, tall high-rise. I had practiced and role-played this interview in my mind at least 1,000 times. I'm ready, okay? I go there, and the guy looks at me and he said, son, come back when you eat more meat and potatoes. Literally said that to me. I'm driving with tears in my eyes to work, Marriott, and I'm thinking, what a waste of 2 years of my life for this? That day, the general manager offered me a sales position from the front desk. It was the best of days and it was the worst of days. It was a pretty cool day. So that's how I got 2 years of a formal education. But every day, I've worked hard to learn something new, something different, and you should too, because that's quite an education as well. You will have an advantage over other people standing in line that don't have a degree. But if you think that degree is enough, you're kidding yourself. You need practical experience, you need the degree, you need every tool you can possibly pull out to be able to get the career you want, okay? Nothing's gonna be easy. The good news is, we are so starving for talent that people will take a chance on you. Just gotta make that impact, okay? Great question. Any other questions? Go.
How'd you get to Memphis?
How did I get to Memphis? Remember that entrepreneur I told you about that I went to work for, that it was more wrong than right? So I've never worked for an entrepreneur before. And I'm a pretty hot sales guy, and we've got 5, 6 Sheraton resorts and conference centers. Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Anyone ever been to Sturbridge, Massachusetts? Has anyone ever seen This Old House on PBS? Well, the guy that's the master carpenter is in Stockbridge, one town over. It is New England at its finest. Beautiful place, okay? That hotel was doing very poorly. And when I walked in, even the sales office physically was in like in a telephone room. So we knocked out a bunch of space, built new sales offices. I got rid of all the bad salespeople. I brought in a ton of new people. We're working hard, we're working smart, we're aggressive, we're doing all kinds of things. And every 30 days I would sit down with that owner. And he would say, Farrell, what am I paying you for, man? You've been here 5 months already, and we're still behind last year at the Sheraton Sturbridge. All right, I'll work harder, man, I'll work harder. 8, 9, 10 months into it, I did everything I knew humanly possible to turn this hotel around. Farrell, we made $1 million more last year. What are we paying you for? It was like a personal attack on you and your family. I'm sitting in the bar, and the CFO is trashed. And thank goodness he was, because he said, I said to Ray, his name was Ray Edwards, I said, Ray, for the first time in my life, I'm beaten. I don't know what else to do to turn this hotel around. And he said, you're so stupid. I said, what? He said, you're 800,000 over last year. No, or $1 million. No, he's been telling you you're behind to motivate you. Do you want to work for that person? I did. To be dishonest is the way to motivate us? Not good. So, I can't afford to quit because I have a new baby due any day, built a house in Plymouth, Massachusetts, trying to sell a house in Columbus, Ohio, renting a house in Plymouth while the one's being built. I am cash poor. I can't afford to be unemployed. It was the only time in my life where I was absolutely positively miserable because of the job. I've always loved every job I ever had, even pot scrubber. Why? Because as you're washing pots and pans better than anybody else has washed a pot or pan, you know you're not going to have to do it for 4 years. You do it for 2 months, maybe 3 months, you're going to get promoted because they want you somewhere else. And you do the same thing, and you get promoted, and you get promoted, and you get promoted, and you wind up where you want to be, right? So, it got so bad. I'm getting so beat up, but I can't afford to quit. And I'll never forget the day the president called me in his office, and he's crying. He says, "I got to let you go, man." And what am I doing? Yes. So I collected unemployment. They paid me for 8 months of employment. They let me keep the company car, and all kinds of good things happened. So now I'm unemployed in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and I've got a headhunter working on finding me a job. They found a VP of Sales and Marketing job based in Memphis. We had 30 hotels, mostly Holiday Inns, Frank Flood. So Flood and Mann was the name of the company, and I was their first VP of Sales and Marketing. That's how I got to Memphis. Not by design, but it just worked out that way. Now, I don't have to stay here anymore. I could live anywhere. But I want to be here because, remember that one that was Meet Me, and also, I didn't put up People Corps. I should have put People Corps up there. I want to have a 501c3. What's a 501c3, people? Not-for-profit, NFP, not-for-profit. I want to do an NFP focused on training homeless people on how to have a job, to be able to create income. This is a great town to do that in. I live downtown. I'll walk 4 blocks to a restaurant down on North Main, and I'll have 3 or 4 people. Dude, can you help me, man? Can you help me? Constantly. We need to put these people to work. They need to learn how to grow corn, not just be given corn. Cool? So it's a great place to stay. Plus my kids are in Collierville and all that good stuff, so that's good. So, answer your question? Any more questions? Fire away. Go.
I know I looked up an autobiography on you, and I saw that you spelled your company, your first one, with the word "your" in it. What made you decide to do that?
Entrepreneur?
Yeah.
She said, what made you decide, that was the second company, to call your company Entrepreneur? ENTRENYOUR. Because the strategy was we were going to show owners and operators of hotels how to turn every single associate into an owner. Think and act like an owner. We don't do that, okay? So, it was pronounced Entrepreneur, it was spelled Y-O-U-R, and I would show up to presentations and give a speech, and the person would say, "And welcome Don Farrell from
You said that company.
Yower. Is it your Don? What? Every single time. So I outsmarted myself. So that company lasted like, I don't know, 5 months before I said, I need a new name. And I'm literally at the Atlanta airport trying to come up with a name. I'm in between flights. And I'm like, God, I gotta come up with a name. And I see Cinnabon. And Cinnabon advertises fresh something. The word fresh jumped out at me. I said, fresh? We're all about making money. Revenues, fresh revenues. So it's a lot easier to pronounce.
Okay.
So yeah, don't outthink it like I did. Entrepreneur was a cool concept. People couldn't say it. Any other questions?
I got one more. I said, with your experience with hotels, why didn't you decide to stay with the hotel business and expand to get your own company?
So I think the question is, with your experience in the hotel business, why didn't you expand?
With the hotel instead of...
I did. So I got as high as I could get in the hotel and the level I wanted to be. This industry's been trying to make me a general manager forever. I didn't want to be a GM. I wanted to be on the revenue generation side. To me, that was more fun. To me, that was more valuable. Most hotels, let's just pick on Memphis. Most hotels, when the recession hits, a depression hits, they don't know how to liberate business from their competition. All they knew how to do is to call up 1-800-HILTON. What are you guys doing for my hotel? Well, success happens locally. It doesn't happen through Hilton or Marriott or Westin or anybody. It starts locally. And people that know how to sell and market and liberate business from the competition and deliver higher levels of service and build the right culture, you'll make a lot of money and you'll have a lot of fun and have a ton of opportunities. And I wanted to be my own boss. So I eventually got to the point where I could have continued to be vice president of sales and marketing, eventually maybe a president of a company, but I really wanted to start something from nothing. Cool? I think we're out of time.
Let's hear it for Don.
Last thing,